You believe you're good at reading her, thinking you'd spot a lie the moment it happened. But the truth is, when it's someone you care about deeply, it's easier to ignore the signs than confront the possibility of betrayal. I know this because I've been there. I trusted her completely, certain I was an excellent judge of character, only to uncover lies that had been lingering beneath the surface for far longer than I'd imagined. The problem wasn't a lack of intuition. It also wasn't that the signs weren't there. The issue was my willingness to overlook those signs. I wanted to believe the relationship was built on honesty, and in doing so, I ignored the reality right in front of me. In today's video, we'll reveal 7 signs that she's lying to you and how to handle it once you find out. These may be harsh truths, but they're ones you need to face. Stop deceiving yourself, gentlemen. Ready? Let's get started. Sign 1. Sudden topic changes. Have you encountered conversational partners who evade questions with lightning speed, making dialogue feel like a game of verbal dodgeball? You raise a crucial point, only to have them abruptly shift to an entirely unrelated subject. It's as if they have a pre-planned escape route, retreating from uncomfortable truths. I recall a past relationship plagued by this. Initially oblivious, I gradually recognized their pattern of diverting conversations whenever I broached future plans, even simple ones. They'd deflect to trivial matters, avoiding direct engagement. It was subtle, yet I dismissed it, assuming they weren't ready or I was being too demanding. However, their perpetual unreadiness was symptomatic of a deeper issue: shirking responsibility. This highlights a critical point. Topic changes aren't always due to forgetfulness or distraction. They often stem from a reluctance to confront uncomfortable realities. We enable this by avoiding confrontation, prioritizing superficial peace over honesty. This is our mistake. Avoiding difficult conversations breeds dishonesty, not harmony. The underlying message is that swift topic changes signify more than avoidance. They represent a rejection of truth, prioritizing comfort over your understanding. This reveals the relationship's foundation. Whether it's a romantic partner, friend, or colleague, dishonesty isn't always overt. It can manifest as conversational deflection. We often focus on spoken lies, but unspoken ones insidiously erode trust. I learned this painfully, realizing my acceptance of deflected conversations enabled their avoidance and kept me uninformed. My desire for normalcy allowed topic shifts, but this jeopardized the relationship's integrity. The lesson? Hold people accountable for their conversational deflections. This isn't about confrontation, but establishing honesty. Someone who values you will engage in challenging discussions, regardless of discomfort. Otherwise, question the relationship's nature. Truth, though challenging, strengthens bonds more effectively than fabricated lies. Sign 2. Listening for comprehension, not response. Truly listening is a cornerstone of charisma, yet often undervalued. It's the basis of making others feel valued. Many of us, however, listen passively, preoccupied with formulating our own responses, rather than truly absorbing the speaker's words. This creates a sense of invisibility. A harsh truth: if you don't listen to understand, your efforts are wasted. I've been guilty of this, feigning engagement while mentally rehearsing my own points. People sense this inauthenticity, feeling used rather than valued. This isn't charming, it's self-serving. Conversely, listening with genuine intent to understand fosters respect and deep connection beyond superficial chatter. It provides a safe space for expression without the pressure of immediate reciprocation. I recall a conversation with a struggling colleague. My initial impulse was to offer solutions, but I chose to simply listen attentively, offering no interjections or advice. The result? They opened up further, feeling secure. They expressed feeling truly heard, a realization that sometimes simply listening is the most effective approach. In a world saturated with noise, authentic listening is a rare and valuable gift. People desire understanding, not constant advice or opinions. They want to feel understood, and offering this makes you stand out as genuinely caring. This is true charisma. Therefore, listen to comprehend, not just to reply. This fosters genuine connection and makes others feel seen and appreciated. Has your partner ever shown either of the 2 signs mentioned above? If not, then congratulations. For now, it seems you can still trust her. If you agree with this perspective, please support us with a like and subscribe. But that's not all. Let's dive into 5 more signs that indicate you might be seriously blinded by deception. Let's continue with the 3rd sign. Sign 3. Unwarranted defensiveness. Have you experienced someone reacting to a simple, innocuous question as if it were an accusation? A simple inquiry about pizza can trigger a disproportionate response, suggesting hidden guilt. This overreaction is a major red flag. I recall a group project where a teammate displayed this behavior. Routine progress inquiries were met with defensive accusations of micromanagement and mistrust, despite his obvious disengagement during meetings. Unsurprisingly, he had contributed minimally, attempting to conceal his lack of effort. A key observation: excessive defensiveness without cause often masks guilt. It's the classic, "the lady doth protest too much" scenario. Experience teaches that such reactions warrant closer scrutiny. What are they so desperately trying to conceal? Genuine innocence wouldn't necessitate transforming a casual question into a personal attack. Honesty is calm and direct. Guilt is hypervigilant. The underlying message concerns human nature. Unwarranted defensiveness reveals guilt, not integrity. Recognize that their overreaction isn't about your supposed transgression, but their attempt to conceal truth. They resemble a locked house feigning normalcy, hoping you won't use the key you hold. Ignoring these defensive displays enables deception, teaching them that feigned outrage can mask lies. It's not about being rude or intrusive, it's about prioritizing honesty. People will go to great lengths to avoid exposure, and defensiveness is a common tactic. So, when confronted with disproportionate defensiveness, don't retreat. Maintain your curiosity and investigate further. In most cases, it's a smokescreen obscuring the truth, and you deserve better. Sign 4. Excessively polished narratives. Have you heard a story so perfectly constructed it felt rehearsed? Every detail meticulously placed, the timeline impeccable, the narrative flawlessly smooth, almost too perfect to be true? Chances are, it probably is. I've encountered this numerous times. One individual, Jake, was a master storyteller, crafting tales with Hollywood-level drama. He recounted a business deal with the cinematic flair of a James Bond film, complete with vivid descriptions and a perfectly timed triumphant handshake against a breathtaking cityscape. The issue? Reality is messy and unpredictable. When a story feels overly rehearsed, be wary. Jake's story, as it turned out, was partially embellished and partially fabricated. The problem is, we're drawn to captivating narratives, often overlooking inconsistencies because we enjoy a good story. This allows deception to flourish. Liars exploit our desire for neat narratives offering easily digestible accounts. The messiness of truth is inconvenient, but life is rarely pristine. Excessive smoothness often indicates fiction. The deeper issue is that overly polished narratives aren't just about impressing, they're about controlling the narrative. The storyteller carefully constructs a version of events serving their interests. They become the writer, director, and star of their own movie, expecting unquestioning applause from the audience. However, perfection is a mirage. My investigation into Jake's stories revealed inconsistencies. Further questioning blurred the sharp edges of his narrative, exposing its fabricated nature. Liars can rehearse, but they can't withstand scrutiny. Real-life details are messy, and excessive smoothness suggests fantasy, not reality. The key takeaway: life is complex, imperfect, and messy. This is a positive thing. Someone presenting a flawlessly aligned narrative is selling an illusion. Accepting this does you a disservice. Genuine connections are built on unfiltered honesty, even when uncomfortable. So, when a story seems too perfect, inquire further. Seek the messy truth. A refusal to reveal imperfections suggests a refusal to reveal truth. Remember, authenticity doesn't require perfection. Feigning otherwise likely conceals something. Sign 5. Averting physical contact. Ever noticed someone angling their body away during a conversation, even while speaking directly to you? Their words convey engagement, but their body language screams a desire to escape. It's a subtle but telling cue. I recall a friend who exhibited this behavior during serious conversations. Initially, I attributed it to discomfort or habit, but the pattern became clear. Whenever the conversation delved into personal or sensitive territory, his body would subtly turn away as if seeking physical escape. It was a clear sign something was amiss. He was later revealed to have been dishonest about several things, nothing major, but enough to damage trust. His body language betrayed him before his words did. The controversy? Many dismiss body language as irrelevant or over-analyzed. This is a mistake. Non-verbal cues often reveal more than words. Turning away, even slightly, suggests a subconscious attempt to distance oneself from the truth. We often ignore these signs, avoiding potential uncomfortable revelations. We rationalize it as a habit or insignificance, but physical distancing is a red flag. While not always indicative of major lies, it signifies something amiss. The deeper point is that avoiding direct physical confrontation reveals a deeper avoidance of confronting the situation's reality. Their body language betrays their internal discomfort before they realize it. I used to dismiss such cues as overthinking, but repeated observation has taught me that turning away mid-conversation signifies more than restlessness. It's a subconscious attempt to avoid scrutiny because something is being concealed. Body language isn't random. Turning away during conversation signifies discomfort with the topic. They're shielding themselves, not from you, but from the truth they're withholding. They believe physical aversion can somehow prevent you from perceiving their deception. My lesson? Don't ignore these cues. While acknowledging them might feel awkward, body language is a powerful form of communication. Turning away creates distance, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and ignoring it allows that distance to widen. So, observe subtle shifts in body language. It might be time to address the unasked question, to probe deeper into what they're concealing. Honesty doesn't turn away, and neither should those you trust. Sign 6. Using humor to deflect serious discussions. Have you experienced someone dismissing serious conversations with laughter? You attempt to address meaningful issues, perhaps personal concerns, and they respond with a dismissive chuckle, brushing it aside as if it were trivial. They use humor as a shield, deflecting the truth. Initially, it might appear harmless, even charming, but this behavior often masks deeper issues. I recall a past relationship where attempts to discuss important matters were consistently met with humor, sarcasm, or jokes. "Hey, I've been feeling disconnected lately," would be met with laughter and accusations of overthinking. The laughter wasn't casual. It was a tool to dismiss the conversation and avoid addressing the underlying issue. Over time, I realized this pattern of using humor to avoid accountability and uncomfortable truths. The controversial aspect is that humor is generally considered positive. It lightens the mood and diffuses tension. However, consistently using it to deflect serious discussions is a red flag. It's an attempt to disguise lies as jokes, and most people let it slide, avoiding the awkwardness of pursuing a topic after it's been trivialized with humor. People use humor to deflect because they wish to avoid the weight of serious conversations. It's a simple escape route, maintaining a superficial lightness to prevent deeper exploration. However, meaningful conversations aren't always easy or light. They should challenge, provoke thought, and encourage honesty. If someone consistently avoids this, question their motivations. What are they hiding? Emotional maturity is key. Laughing off serious topics suggests an unwillingness to engage in honest dialogue. It's a facade concealing something they can't or won't explain. Perhaps it's fear of vulnerability, or perhaps it's because honest discussion would expose a concealed truth. I've observed this repeatedly. Humor used as deflection, making you feel overly serious. But addressing important matters seriously is valid. Don't hesitate to challenge their dismissiveness. "Why is this funny to you?" can expose their underlying discomfort. Dismissing serious discussions with laughter stifles communication before it begins, preventing crucial conversations about relationships, trust, and accountability. Everything remains superficial, unresolved. The core message: honesty isn't always pleasant or light-hearted. It shouldn't be dismissed with laughter. An inability to treat serious matters seriously indicates an avoidance of genuine connection and truth. If they can't face these topics with you, how much can you trust them? So, don't let dismissive laughter slide. Ask tough questions. Press for the uncomfortable truth. Humor might lighten the moment, but it doesn't negate the underlying issue. Their refusal to engage seriously reveals their lack of honesty. Sign 7. Evasive vagueness. Have you ever encountered someone who, when pressed for details, responds with ambiguous pronouncements and sweeping gestures, offering no concrete information? You seek specific dates, names, or facts, and they offer vague generalities, dancing around the subject like figures in a fog. It's frustrating and a clear warning sign. Evasive answers often conceal something. I recall a co-worker who boasted about closing big deals, yet offered only vague pronouncements when asked for specifics. His responses were masterpieces of evasion, promising exciting developments while revealing nothing concrete. Weeks later, the story remained unchanged. Eventually, it emerged that not only were there no deals, but much of his narrative was fabricated. He was bluffing, hoping no one would investigate further. Here's the key point. Vagueness when pressed for details isn't just secrecy, it's deception. Vagueness is a liar's tool, allowing them to evade accountability. It's like grasping at smoke. They deflect with half-truths and claims of complexity, relying on your politeness or inattention to avoid further probing. Honest individuals don't need to hide behind vagueness. They can provide clear answers because they have nothing to conceal. They offer straightforward information without the evasive dance. Liars, however, thrive in ambiguity, knowing that vagueness hinders scrutiny. It's classic avoidance, and many fall for it, conditioned to avoid seeming pushy or rude. We've all been vague at times, perhaps due to unpreparedness, feeling cornered, or simply not knowing the answer. However, honest individuals acknowledge this directly. "I'm not sure right now," or "I need to check on that," is vastly different from offering meaningless generalities to maintain a semblance of control. The problem arises when vagueness is deliberately employed to avoid being caught. This relates to integrity and trust. Evasive answers erode the foundation of trust, whether in personal or professional relationships. They exploit your good nature, hoping you'll avoid the awkwardness of pressing for specifics. But that awkwardness is precisely when you should persist. Individuals uncomfortable with providing specifics when directly asked are likely concealing something. This is the uncomfortable truth many avoid. They offer excuses of poor detail recall or busyness, but experience reveals that true honesty doesn't shy away from specifics. If they value truthfulness, they'll be clear. Evasive responses signal something hidden. I no longer accept vague answers. To assess someone's honesty, observe their reaction to requests for specifics. Do they become uncomfortable? Do they offer broad, content-free statements? This cues you to delve deeper. Continued vagueness indicates dishonesty. Honesty isn't always convenient, but it's clear, direct, and avoids ambiguity. Refusal to provide specifics reveals a fear of what the details might expose. They construct a wall of vagueness to obscure the truth. If they won't dismantle that wall, question their motives for building it. So, when faced with vagueness, don't back down. Demand clarity. Respectful individuals will provide it. Vagueness might seem minor, but it can indicate deeper issues that erode trust quickly. In conclusion, deception isn't always blatant. It often manifests in subtle cues, vague responses, overly polished narratives, nervous laughter. Pay attention to these subtle signs to uncover hidden truths. Don't shy away from difficult questions and don't accept half-truths. You deserve honesty, and those unable to provide it should be distanced from your life. Stay alert and remain true to yourself. The art of lying in life and relationships. Lying, an act as old as human civilization itself, is a nuanced behavior that transcends cultures, relationships, and moral boundaries. While it is often vilified as a breach of trust and integrity, lying also holds a paradoxical place in our lives, serving both functional and destructive purposes. Understanding the art of lying involves delving into its psychological roots, societal roles, and ethical considerations, especially in the realm of personal relationships. At its core, lying is the deliberate act of presenting false information, but its motivations are far more intricate than simple deception. From a psychological perspective, lying begins early in life, often as a survival mechanism. Infants, for instance, learn to manipulate their environment through cries or laughter to elicit specific responses from caregivers. This early form of deception isn't malicious, it's instinctual, a primal tool for communication and needs fulfillment. As we grow, lying evolves into a sophisticated skill, shaped by social norms, cultural expectations, and personal experiences. Gender differences also emerge in lying patterns. Studies suggest that men often lie to enhance their image or achieve self-serving goals, while women are more likely to lie to protect others' feelings or maintain harmony. These tendencies highlight how lying can serve as a social lubricant, smoothing over potential conflicts or awkward situations. In relationships, lying takes on even more profound dimensions. It can be both a tool for connection and a weapon for destruction. For example, white lies are often told to protect a partner's feelings. A simple reassurance like, "You look great in that outfit," might preserve a moment of confidence or avoid an unnecessary argument. On the other hand, lies of omission or outright fabrications can erode trust and lead to the collapse of even the strongest bonds. The key difference lies in intent and impact. When lies are told out of care or necessity, they may even strengthen a relationship. But when deceit is rooted in selfishness or malice, it often leads to irreparable damage. The role of lying in relationships extends beyond individuals to the societal level. Lying can maintain social harmony by avoiding unnecessary confrontations or preserving face in delicate situations. For instance, a partner may downplay a stressful day at work to avoid burdening their significant other. While these lies may seem harmless, they reflect the delicate balance of truth and deception required to navigate complex emotional dynamics. However, habitual lying introduces significant challenges. Over time, even seemingly harmless lies can snowball, creating a web of deceit that's difficult to untangle. Trust, the foundation of any meaningful relationship, is fragile. Once compromised, rebuilding it requires transparency, effort, and time, often more than many are willing to invest. Detecting deception in relationships is an equally intricate art. Humans have developed an array of verbal and nonverbal cues to mask or detect lies. Inconsistencies in stories, mismatched facial expressions, and unusual speech patterns often raise suspicion. However, these signs are not definitive proof of lying. Context matters greatly, and wrongly accusing someone based on ambiguous cues can do more harm than the lie itself. Emotional intelligence and a deep understanding of one's partner play a vital role in discerning truth from deception. Ethically, lying is one of the most debated behaviors in human history. Philosophers and psychologists alike have grappled with its moral implications. Some argue that honesty is the highest virtue, while others contend that lying is sometimes necessary to navigate the complexities of life and relationships. For instance, is it wrong to tell a terminally ill loved one they look strong to give them hope? These grey areas show that the morality of lying is often situational, requiring careful consideration of the potential consequences. In romantic relationships, the art of lying is particularly pronounced. The interplay of love, vulnerability, and trust creates a fertile ground for both truth and deception. Partners may lie to avoid hurting each other, maintain an idealized image, or protect the relationship from external threats. For example, downplaying a past relationship might be done to avoid unnecessary jealousy. Yet such lies can backfire if discovered, leading to feelings of betrayal. Conversely, truth-telling is not always the most compassionate choice. Brutal honesty can sometimes cause unnecessary pain. For example, pointing out every flaw or mistake a partner makes might be truthful, but is rarely constructive. This is where lying, when wielded thoughtfully, becomes an art. It requires balancing honesty with sensitivity, ensuring that your words nurture rather than harm the relationship. However, the art of lying should not be mistaken for manipulation. Authenticity remains the cornerstone of any healthy relationship. The goal is not to deceive for personal gain, but to navigate the complexities of human emotions with care. Understanding when and how to lie, if at all, requires emotional intelligence, empathy, and a clear sense of your partner's needs and boundaries. Self-awareness is crucial in mastering this art. Before deciding whether to lie, consider your motivations. Are you protecting your partner's feelings, or are you avoiding accountability? Are you preserving harmony, Or are you selfishly shielding yourself from consequences? Reflecting on these questions can help you make choices that align with your values and the well-being of your relationship. Moreover, the art of lying is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Cultural and personal values play a significant role in determining what lies are acceptable. In some cultures, indirect communication and subtle lies are seen as polite and considerate, while in others, directness and honesty are prized. Understanding your partner's cultural background and personal preferences is essential for navigating this delicate territory. Ultimately, the art of lying in life and relationships is a double-edged sword. While it can be used to protect, preserve, and even strengthen bonds, it can also undermine trust and lead to irreparable harm. The key lies in intention, context, and execution. Lying should never be the default option, but a carefully considered choice, used sparingly and with empathy. In life, as in relationships, lying is both a survival mechanism and a social tool. It reflects the complexities of human interaction, where truth and deception often coexist. By mastering the art of lying, not to manipulate but to navigate life's intricacies, you can foster deeper connections, protect what matters, and build relationships that stand the test of time. But always remember, the most beautiful lies are the ones that stem from love, care, and a genuine desire to nurture, not harm. So if you know she lied to you, what will you do next? Discovering that someone you care about has lied to you is a complex and often emotional experience, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. If you find out that she has lied to you, the way you choose to handle the situation can determine not only the future of the relationship, but also your own emotional well-being. While it's natural to feel betrayed or hurt, the key lies in approaching the situation with clarity, emotional control, and a deeper understanding of the circumstances. First, it's important to process your emotions privately. A lie, no matter how small, can trigger feelings of anger, sadness, or confusion. Before reacting, take a step back to assess your emotional state. Acting impulsively in the heat of the moment can escalate the situation, potentially causing more harm than the lie itself. Ask yourself why the lie bothers you. Does it betray your trust, challenge your perception of the relationship, or make you feel disrespected? Identifying your emotional response can help you approach the situation with greater clarity. Once you've calmed your initial reaction, focus on understanding the context and intent behind the lie. Not all lies are created equal. A small white lie told to spare your feelings is fundamentally different from a lie meant to deceive or manipulate. Consider whether her lie was born out of fear, insecurity, or a genuine desire to avoid conflict. For example, if she lied about something minor, like her plans for the evening, it may reflect her discomfort with confrontation rather than a deeper character flaw. On the other hand, if the lie involves a serious breach of trust, such as infidelity or financial dishonesty, it warrants a much more critical assessment of the relationship. Once you're ready to address the issue, communicate with her directly and calmly. Accusations and confrontations often put people on the defensive, making it harder to have an honest conversation. Instead, frame your concerns in a way that invites dialogue. For instance, you might say, "I noticed something that doesn't align with what you told me, and it's been bothering me. Can we talk about it?" This approach opens the door to a constructive discussion rather than an argument. During the conversation, listen actively to her explanation. Pay attention not only to her words, but also to her body language and tone. Is she apologetic and sincere, or is she defensive and evasive? Her reaction can reveal a lot about her intentions and the overall state of the relationship. If she admits to the lie and provides a reasonable explanation, it may be a sign that she values your relationship and is willing to work on rebuilding trust. Ultimately, your response to her lie will depend on its nature, the level of trust in your relationship, and her willingness to take accountability. In some cases, a single lie may not define the entire relationship and can be addressed through open communication and mutual understanding. In others, a pattern of deceit may indicate deeper issues that require serious reflection and possibly ending the relationship. What you do next after discovering a lie is less about the lie itself and more about your values and boundaries. Prioritize honesty, respect, and emotional safety as you navigate this challenging situation. By handling the matter with maturity and self-awareness, you can make a decision that aligns with your long-term well-being and the health of your relationships. Beyond body language, vocal tone, or the look in her eyes that might reveal she's lying to you, there are also red flags hidden in the things she says. These subtle clues in her words can signal deception or deeper issues in your relationship. Today, we're going to reveal 9 things women say that are red flags, so you can recognize them and take steps to address your relationship effectively. But before we dive in, if you find this content helpful, don't hesitate to like and subscribe so you won't miss any of the exciting content we have coming up. Now let's jump into the 9 things women say that are red flags every guy needs to watch for. Number 1. The princess predicament, when her crown becomes your cross. Picture this. You're out on a date, and she casually mentions it's her birthday month. You chuckle, thinking it's a joke, but as the days roll by, you realize she wasn't kidding. Suddenly, you're trapped in a 30-day extravaganza of surprise gifts, elaborate dinners, and endless attention-seeking behavior. Welcome to the world of the princess personality, gentlemen. It's a realm where tiaras are invisible, but the demands are all too real. Now you might be wondering, is this really such a big deal? After all, everyone likes to feel special now and then, right? But here's the kicker. This isn't about feeling special. It's about feeling superior. The princess's personality isn't content with just a slice of attention. She wants the whole cake, the bakery, and the wheat fields that produce the flour. It's like dating a black hole of neediness. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. Let's break it down with a little analogy. Imagine you're playing a video game where your character has to constantly feed a hungry monster. At first, it's manageable. A snack here, a treat there. But as the game progresses, the monster grows bigger, hungrier, and more demanding. That's what dating a princess personality feels like. You start off thinking you're the hero of the story, only to realize you're just the NPC, non-player character, whose sole purpose is to cater to the princess's whims. But wait, there's more. Enter petulant behavior, the evil twin of the princess personality. If the princess demands constant adoration, the petulant child throws a fit when she doesn't get it. Forgot to text her good morning. Prepare for the silent treatment. Didn't notice her new haircut? Brace yourself for a lecture on how you never pay attention to her. It's like walking through an emotional minefield where every step could trigger an explosion of hurt feelings and accusations. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but she's so amazing when she's not being demanding. Ah yes, the classic trap. It's like saying, the roller coaster is great when it's not plummeting towards the ground. Sure, the highs might be exhilarating, but are they worth the gut-wrenching lows? Let's take a moment to channel our inner Stoic philosopher. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This gem of wisdom is particularly relevant when dealing with princess and petulant behaviors. You can't control her actions or demands, but you can control how you respond to them. The question is, do you want to spend your life constantly reacting to someone else's whims, or do you want to be the author of your own story? Here's the harsh truth, fellas. A relationship with someone exhibiting these behaviors is like trying to fill a leaky bucket. No matter how much you pour in, attention, gifts, compliments, it'll never be enough because the problem isn't the amount you're giving. It's the fact that she can't retain it. Her self-worth is so externally dependent that she needs a constant influx of validation just to feel okay. So, what's a guy to do? First, recognize these behaviors for what they are. Red flags waving so hard they could generate wind power. Second, understand that you're not responsible for someone else's happiness or self-esteem. And finally, ask yourself, do you want a partner or a dependent? Because make no mistake, that's what you're signing up for with a princess or petulant personality. Remember, a healthy relationship should feel like a tennis match, not a one-man juggling act. It's about give and take, not give and give some more. If you find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering the next meltdown or disappointing Her Highness, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate. In the end, the choice is yours. But ask yourself this: do you want to spend your life as a servant in someone else's kingdom, or do you want to build an empire together as equals? The answer to that question might just save you from a lifetime of emotional servitude. Choose wisely, gentlemen. Your sanity and your wallet will thank you. Before we jump into the next lesson, here's a shocking stat. 98% of customers don't leave comments or hit the like button. If you found lesson number 1 helpful, drop a comment saying useful and smash that like button to show your support. We truly appreciate you. Number 2. Negative about relationships. Next up, let's tackle a trait that's as appealing as a flat tire on a road trip. The woman who's persistently negative about her relationships. If you're dealing with someone who seems to think everyone around her is out to get her, you're probably facing a classic case of unjust criticism. Imagine this. She's always talking poorly about her mother, friends, or other family members. Maybe she's continuously criticizing her ex, not just sharing that the relationship wasn't great, but going out of her way to bash him at every opportunity. Does she always have something bad to say about everyone in her life? If she's perpetually engaged in unjust criticism, a harsh and unfair verbal attack against others, this behavior is more than a passing phase. It's a pattern. This woman might be the type who constantly attacks people, belittles them, or makes them feel bad. You might notice that she rarely, if ever, says anything good about the people around her. This isn't just a sign of negativity, it's a window into her character. Think about it. You can complain about people in your life all you want, but at the end of the day, you often have a choice about who you surround yourself with. If she's consistently negative about everyone she's chosen to keep close, what does that say about her? Taking a step back to look at the bigger picture, this behavior could be a preview of what she might say about you in the future. You and everyone else in her life might be subject to these grandiose and unrealistic standards. This is especially concerning because people like this often hold others to impossibly high standards while letting themselves off the hook with very low ones. Does she expect everyone to be perfect and treat her like royalty, as mentioned with the princess behavior? If so, you're in for a rough ride. From a Stoic viewpoint, this kind of negativity is incredibly detrimental. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If her thoughts are constantly negative and filled with unjust criticism, it's not just her soul that's affected, but yours as well. Being around someone who perpetually sees the worst in others can drain your energy and spirit, leaving you feeling more pessimistic and less motivated. This behavior often indicates deep-seated insecurities. By tearing others down, she's attempting to elevate herself, but this is a fleeting and hollow victory. Constantly criticizing others reflects a lack of self-confidence and an inability to find self-worth from within. Lastly, consider her behavior towards people she doesn't know. Does she badmouth strangers online, critique random photos with unkind comments, or generally act like a mean girl? If she's spreading negativity about people she's never met, it's a clear sign that this behavior isn't limited to her inner circle. This is not the kind of person you want in your life. Number 3. The manipulator. A little survey for you. What do you do when she tries to control you? Comment 1. Walk away, be free. Comment 2. Be patient and endure. The infamous "a real man would" statements. This particular red flag is like a neon sign flashing manipulation ahead. When a woman starts her sentences with "a real man would" and fills in the blank with demands like "wouldn't care about my body count," "would buy me a Birkin bag," or "would fly me out to Cabo," it's time to hit the brakes and reevaluate. Let's break this down. These statements are problematic because they set arbitrary and often materialistic standards for what it means to be a real man. In reality, being a real man, or a real person for that matter, isn't about meeting someone's unrealistic or superficial demands. It's about integrity, respect, and mutual support in a relationship. When a woman uses phrases like these, she's essentially saying that unless you conform to her specific desires or actions, you're not worthy or deserving of her attention. This leads directly into another common manipulative phrase. If you really liked me, you would. Again, this is a setup. By framing it this way, she's making your affection conditional on fulfilling her demands. This is not only silly but also incredibly manipulative. Think about it. Insinuating that you're not a real man because you don't buy into her every whim or agree with her every opinion is a classic manipulation tactic. It's designed to make you feel inadequate or guilty, pressuring you into doing things you might not want to do. This kind of talk is a power play, aimed at controlling your behavior by questioning your masculinity or worth. Consider the kind of person who frequently uses such language. As mentioned in previous red flag discussions, these individuals often hold others to impossibly high standards while holding themselves to very low ones. It's a lopsided dynamic where the goalposts are constantly shifting and you're always the one falling short. This type of behavior can erode your self-esteem and create a toxic relationship environment. Moreover, this manipulation tactic often reveals deeper issues within the individual using it. It suggests a lack of genuine communication skills and an inability to express needs and desires healthily. Instead of saying, "I would love for us to plan a trip together," or "It would make me feel special if you considered this," she opts for a manipulative approach that places undue pressure on you. A real partnership is built on mutual respect, open communication, and realistic expectations. If someone is constantly questioning your worth or masculinity based on their personal agenda, it's time to reassess whether this person is right for you. Remember, being a real man is about integrity and respect, not about ticking off someone else's arbitrary checklist. Number 4. The mind reader talks. The dreaded mind reader talk, where you're expected to possess the psychic powers just to keep your partner happy. This type of communication, or lack thereof, often manifests in phrases like, "I shouldn't have to tell you, you should just know," or "I shouldn't have to ask you to buy me flowers, you should just buy them for me." While these might sound like harmless comments, they're actually huge red flags, signaling deeper issues in the relationship. First and foremost, asking for what you want or need doesn't make it any less special. In fact, it makes it more meaningful, because it shows that your partner is listening and willing to fulfill your desires. Effective communication is the cornerstone of any healthy, mature relationship. When you can openly express your needs, it fosters understanding and strengthens the bond between partners. Expecting someone to read your mind is not only unrealistic but also unfair. The mind reader talk is a manipulative tactic that sets up your partner for failure. When someone says, "I shouldn't have to tell you," they're creating a scenario where you're constantly guessing and likely getting it wrong, which leads to frustration and resentment on both sides. It's a passive-aggressive way of saying, "You're not meeting my needs," without giving you the information you need to actually meet those needs. It's a no-win situation. Another classic phrase in this category is "it's fine" or "I'm fine," when it's blatantly obvious that everything is not fine. This is often dismissed as a cliché or a joke. "That's just women," or "women say the opposite of what they mean." However, this is a serious red flag indicating a breakdown in communication. When someone can't or won't express what's really bothering them, it creates a breeding ground for misunderstandings and unresolved issues. This lack of direct communication is not conducive to a healthy relationship and often leads to deeper emotional disconnects. In a healthy relationship, partners should feel comfortable expressing their feelings and needs without fear of judgment or retribution. Effective communication involves both partners actively listening and responding to each other's needs. It's about creating a safe space where both people feel valued and heard. To put it simply, no one should expect their partner to read their mind. It's not romantic, it's unrealistic and unfair. True intimacy and connection come from being open and honest about your needs and desires. It's about building a partnership based on mutual understanding and respect. Number 5. Taking over and interrupting you. Let's talk about a red flag that speaks volumes without saying much. Taking over and interrupting you. This isn't about the words themselves, but the action and intention behind them. Imagine trying to share your thoughts, only to be constantly cut off or having someone else finish your sentences for you. This can stem from various reasons, most of which are less than flattering. One primary reason for this behavior is a need for control. Interrupting and taking over conversations can be a way for someone to dominate the dialogue, asserting their presence and overshadowing yours. It's a subtle yet powerful way to dictate the terms of interaction, ensuring that their voice is the loudest and most heard. Another common reason is the need to prove something. Perhaps she's a know-it-all or has issues with her ego, often feeling compelled to showcase her superiority. By interrupting you, she might be trying to demonstrate her intelligence, knowledge, or wit, often at the expense of your input. This behavior can make any conversation feel more like a battleground, where she must one-up you at every turn, rather than a collaborative exchange of ideas. It's essential to differentiate between interruptions driven by control or ego and those driven by anxiety or excitement. Sometimes people interrupt because they are genuinely enthusiastic about the topic or anxious about getting their thoughts out. In such cases, the interruptions might be less about undermining you and more about their inability to contain their emotions or thoughts. Reading the situation accurately is crucial here. For example, you might share a work accomplishment, only to have her immediately jump in with something she's done, overshadowing your moment. Or perhaps, every discussion about personal growth turns into a contest of who's better or more accomplished. If she struggles to support or be happy for you because she feels threatened by your success, it's a glaring red flag. Addressing this behavior directly is crucial. Have an open conversation about it, saying something like, "Hey, I find it frustrating when you always interrupt me. Could you try to be mindful of that in the future?" Her reaction to this request can be very telling. If she reacts negatively, dismisses your feelings, or continues the behavior, it indicates a lack of respect and consideration for your perspective. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on rationality and mutual respect, offers valuable insights here. Marcus Aurelius said, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." In relationships, this means engaging with others without the need to dominate or overshadow. A healthy relationship is a partnership where both voices are heard and valued. Number 6. This is just how I am. Let's delve into a behavior that's as frustrating as it is telling: the notorious "this is just how I am" excuse. This phrase is often trotted out in arguments or when receiving feedback, effectively shutting down any potential for growth or change. If you've ever heard this, you know it's like running into a brick wall. This behavior reflects an unwillingness to change. When you offer feedback about something, whether it's a minor annoyance or a significant issue, her default response is, "This is just how I am." This statement is a defense mechanism, a way to deflect criticism and avoid accountability. It's her way of saying that she's not willing to make any effort to improve or adjust her behavior, no matter how it affects you or the relationship. Moreover, this attitude often comes with a hefty dose of hypocrisy. She expects others to accept and tolerate her quirks and flaws because that's just how she is, but she doesn't extend the same courtesy. If there's something she doesn't like about you, she's quick to criticize and demand change. It's a one-sided arrangement where her standards for herself are conveniently low, but her expectations for you are sky-high. This behavior is a glaring example of setting double standards. In her world, everyone must adapt to her whims and preferences, but she doesn't feel the need to reciprocate. This lack of reciprocity is toxic and unfair. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and a willingness to compromise. When one partner refuses to budge or consider the other's needs, it creates an imbalance that can lead to resentment and frustration. Stoic philosophy offers valuable insights into this behavior. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This wisdom can be applied to relationships as well. Instead of using "this is just how I am" as an excuse, one should strive to be the best version of themselves, constantly seeking improvement and understanding. The refusal to change also reveals a deeper issue, a lack of self-awareness and humility. It takes a humble person to acknowledge their flaws and an even stronger person to work on them. By clinging to the excuse of "this is just how I am," she's demonstrating an unwillingness to engage in this critical aspect of personal growth. This stubbornness can be a major obstacle in developing a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Additionally, this behavior often stems from a place of insecurity. By refusing to change, she's protecting herself from the vulnerability that comes with acknowledging one's imperfections. It's easier to insist on being accepted as is than to confront and address the aspects of oneself that might need improvement. However, true strength and confidence come from the ability to grow and adapt, not from rigidly maintaining the status quo. Number 7. She calls herself crazy. When a woman casually throws out the phrase, "I'm crazy," it's time to take a step back and really consider what she's telling you. Believe her and consider it a significant red flag. Crazy is not cute, it's a red alert that something is deeply wrong. Some women wear their craziness and insecurities like a badge of honor, but instead of being endearing, it's actually quite concerning. Imagine hearing something like, "Oh yeah, I was checking your location on Snapchat to make sure you were at home like you said. I'm crazy. You know that." This isn't just playful banter, it's a serious warning sign. Constantly monitoring your whereabouts or engaging in obsessive behavior indicates deep-seated insecurities and a lack of trust. It's not just about her being quirky or fun, it's about an unhealthy need to control and monitor you. Let's break this down. Many people, both men and women, experience insecurities in relationships. It's a part of human nature. However, there's a significant difference between feeling insecure and using those insecurities to justify erratic or harmful behavior. Everyone has had moments they aren't proud of in past relationships. Maybe you felt jealous or acted out of character. But bragging about these moments, especially on social media platforms like TikTok, is a troubling trend. Posting videos about slashing tires, throwing things off balconies, or engaging in other crazy antics might get views, but it's not something to be proud of. When people flaunt their crazy behavior, it's often a cry for attention and validation. They're looking to fill an internal void with external approval. This kind of behavior points to a significant lack of confidence and security. For a relationship to be healthy, both partners need to feel secure within themselves and the relationship. If she's feeling insecure, she needs to work on that independently before she can have a healthy, balanced relationship with you. If her insecurity stems from something within your relationship, it's crucial to address it directly. First, examine your behavior. Have you done anything to contribute to her feelings of insecurity? If so, acknowledge it and work together to rebuild trust. However, if her insecurities are unfounded and she's engaging in behavior like monitoring your location without cause, this needs to be addressed immediately. Unchecked, this can lead to constant distrust and anxiety, poisoning the relationship. When a woman calls herself crazy, take it seriously. This behavior is more than just a quirky trait. It's a sign of deeper issues that need addressing. Healthy relationships are built on trust, mutual respect, and the ability to communicate openly about insecurities and concerns. If she's using her craziness as a shield or an excuse, it's a clear indication that she's not in a place to have a balanced and healthy relationship. Remember, love should bring out the best in you, not the crazy. Number 8. She gives ultimatums. When it comes to relationships, few things are more toxic than ultimatums. They're the relationship equivalent of a hostage negotiation, and no one wants to be in that situation. Ultimatums sound something like this. If you want to see me again, you have to take me to this really nice restaurant, or I'm only going to go on a second date with you if you buy me this or pay me this amount of money. The list goes on and on. It's one thing to set boundaries and express what you want and need from someone, but it's entirely different to frame it as a manipulative demand. Ultimatums are inherently controlling and unhealthy. They create a power imbalance where one person dictates the terms of the relationship, leaving the other feeling pressured and trapped. Relationships built on constant ultimatums are not sustainable. True, healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, understanding, and open communication. Consider the difference between setting boundaries and giving ultimatums. Setting a boundary is about expressing your needs and feelings in a way that respects both yourself and your partner. For example, saying, "I feel uncomfortable when you follow your ex on Instagram. It makes me insecure about our relationship," is a way of opening a dialogue. It invites your partner to understand your feelings and make a choice based on that understanding. On the other hand, giving an ultimatum like, "If you don't unfollow your ex on Instagram, I'm breaking up with you," is coercive. It doesn't allow for discussion or understanding. It's a demand for compliance. This approach can lead to resentment and a lack of genuine connection. Instead of working together to address concerns, one partner feels forced into a decision, which can weaken the relationship over time. Ultimatums can also indicate a lack of compatibility. If you find yourself needing to give ultimatums to get what you want, it might be a sign that you and your partner aren't on the same page. It's crucial to be with someone who shares your values, morals, and ideas about life. Trying to force someone into a behavior or mindset that they don't naturally align with is a recipe for ongoing conflict and dissatisfaction. So, what should you do if you're faced with an ultimatum? First, recognize it for what it is, a red flag. Approach the situation with calm and rationality. Open a dialogue about how the ultimatum makes you feel and why it's not an acceptable way to address issues in the relationship. If your partner is unwilling to move away from this manipulative tactic, it might be time to reconsider the relationship altogether. Remember, love should be about mutual growth and support, not coercion and control. Number 9. I hate men. When a woman declares, "I hate men," or frequently uses phrases like, "all men are trash," consider it an immediate red flag. These statements aren't just casual remarks. They are potent indicators of deep-seated issues and attitudes that can severely impact a relationship. Let's break down why these statements are problematic. First and foremost, such sweeping generalizations reflect a profoundly negative and biased mindset. Saying, "I hate men," or "all men are trash," suggests that she harbors a lot of unresolved anger and bitterness. This negativity isn't just unhealthy, it can be downright toxic. Imagine the scenario. You've just had a minor disagreement, and instead of resolving it calmly, she resorts to, "See, this is why I hate men." Such a response is not only unhelpful, but also damaging. It shuts down any possibility of constructive dialogue and reinforces negative stereotypes, which can lead to a toxic cycle of conflict and resentment. These statements are the alpha warning signs, the neon red flags that signal significant emotional baggage. They suggest that she's likely carrying a lot of past trauma or disappointment, which she hasn't dealt with constructively. Instead of working through her issues, she's projecting them onto all men, painting everyone with the same broad brush. This kind of thinking is not only unfair, but also unrealistic. Consider the implications of being in a relationship with someone who holds such views. If she thinks all men are inherently bad, how does that affect her view of you? No matter how much you try to prove yourself different, you'll always be fighting an uphill battle against her preconceived notions. This persistent negativity can erode your self-esteem and create a constant tension, as you're always trying to prove you're not like those other men. Stoicism, with its emphasis on rational thought and emotional resilience, offers a counterpoint to this destructive mindset. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." This wisdom suggests that harboring resentment and anger only perpetuates suffering. In a relationship, adopting a stoic mindset can help both partners approach each other with fairness and empathy, rather than judgment and hostility. A healthy relationship requires mutual respect, understanding, and the ability to see each other as individuals, not as representatives of a gender. If you encounter this attitude, it's crucial to recognize it for what it is, a sign that this relationship may not be healthy or sustainable. Remember, a strong partnership is built on positivity, respect, and a willingness to grow together, not on bitterness and blame. Alright guys, we've just navigated through the minefield of red flags and decoded the 9 things women say that should set off alarm bells. Remember, recognizing these warning signs early can save you from a lot of heartache and wasted time. It's crucial to stay vigilant and prioritize your emotional well-being. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Share your own experiences or any red flags you've encountered in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. Don't forget to share this video with your friends to help them navigate the tricky waters of dating as well. And of course, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more relationship advice and insights. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care and stay smart in your dating journey. 10 bitter facts about women that men learn too late. While it's true that women are typically physically less strong than men, it's essential not to underestimate their capabilities. In reality, women possess a complex blend of strengths that have proven challenging for many men to navigate. Society often paints a picture of women as gentle and harmless, perpetuating myths that don't reflect their true nature. It's time to wake up to reality because, no matter how good of a man you are, if you don't learn about female nature now, you will probably get destroyed by a woman sooner or later. We will go over 10 truths about women that men learn the hard way. Stay tuned until the very end, where the most bitter truth awaits you. Number 1. She knows how to swindle weak men. Wait, but what about you? Do you think men have the right to be vulnerable? Comment 0 if you think that's not allowed. Comment 1 if you think that's normal. Diving into the murky waters of relationship dynamics, let's explore a bitter truth. Some women excel at manipulating men who show certain weaknesses. This isn't about painting all women with the same brush or suggesting a sinister nature across the board. Rather, it's about understanding a specific type of interaction that can occur when vulnerabilities are exposed and exploited, especially by those who are adept at manipulation. Think of it as a chess game where one player has mastered the art of reading their opponent. The man in this metaphor might as well have his strategies, or lack thereof, written all over his face. Whether it's insecurity masked by ostentatious displays of wealth or emotional neediness cloaked under the guise of romance, these signals are like blood in the water for a seasoned shark. Here's where the manipulation can come into play. A woman who knows how to manipulate may use affection, approval, or the promise of intimacy to keep the man in a state of compliance. She knows just when to pull back and just when to give in, keeping him off balance and unsure. This dynamic isn't just about being swindled out of a fancy dinner or two. It's about the ongoing manipulation of a person's emotions and decisions. For instance, consider the man who always finds himself paying for expensive vacations or gifts, thinking it's the only way to keep her interested. Or the guy who suppresses his true feelings in arguments because he fears losing her love, which might have been conditional from the start. The urgency of recognizing and addressing this manipulation stems from its long-term effects on one's self-esteem and relationship health. Men, and indeed anyone, vulnerable to such manipulation need to recognize the signs early. The goal is to foster self-awareness and resilience, learning not to lead with one's vulnerabilities, but to build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Remember, true strength lies in knowing and respecting oneself, making it harder for anyone to turn your weaknesses against you. Number 2. She will test endlessly. When you've left school but still find yourself constantly taking tests, and the person setting the questions is her. If you've ever felt like navigating the dating world is akin to walking through a minefield, you're not alone. Many men perceive women as unpredictable, attributing mood swings to inexplicable whims. However, what's often misunderstood as unpredictability is actually a deeper, more instinctual process. Women test men, both consciously and subconsciously, to gauge their suitability as long-term partners. The interesting part is that, in these tests, you even have to guess what the questions are. Fascinating, right? She will never give you a heads up, and only when you receive a miserably low score do you realize, oh, she was testing me. From time immemorial, women have employed various methods to test potential partners. These tests are not arbitrary. They are designed to challenge men in ways that reveal their true character and resilience. For instance, a woman might initiate a disagreement to see how a man handles conflict. Does he escalate the situation? or does he remain calm and collected? If a man responds with emotional maturity and stoicism, he demonstrates qualities that are crucial in a stable, long-term relationship. On the other hand, if he becomes defensive or hostile, he may inadvertently reveal that he lacks the temperament for enduring partnership. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This sentiment perfectly encapsulates why these tests are essential from a woman's perspective. They are not about being difficult for the sake of difficulty, but about ensuring that the man can handle the pressures and challenges that come with a committed relationship. These tests can vary widely in form and intensity. Some might be subtle, like observing how a man treats service staff or reacts to inconvenient situations. Others might be more direct, such as how he responds to questions about future goals or values. Each test, whether the man is aware of it or not, feeds into a woman's assessment of his suitability as a partner. It's crucial to understand that these tests are not born out of malice or an intent to manipulate. Recognizing that these tests serve a purpose can help men respond more effectively. Instead of reacting with annoyance or insult, viewing these situations as opportunities to demonstrate qualities like patience, understanding, and resilience can turn potential conflicts into moments of bonding and mutual respect. What about you? What kind of grade have you ever received? Comment on the bitter grade you got and share your experience. Number 3. She is hypergamous. Men date down, women date up, meaning that women look for a man that is better than them. The concept of hypergamy suggests that women are inherently inclined to date up, that is, to seek partners who are perceived to be of higher status or better than themselves in certain key areas such as financial stability, leadership abilities, and overall social status. Men, on the other hand, don't necessarily prioritize the same criteria. Many men are content to date women who may not match or exceed their own socio-economic status. They might happily date a woman who earns less or has less formal education. This difference in dating standards is not about love being blind. It's about differing evolutionary imperatives that guide male and female choices differently. The term hypergamous often carries a negative connotation, conjuring images of gold-digging or opportunistic behavior. Women's preference for more successful men can be viewed as a strategy to ensure the best possible conditions for themselves and their offspring. In this light, hypergamy can be seen as a natural inclination towards securing a beneficial match that offers stability and potential for a prosperous future. It's crucial to recognize that hypergamy doesn't mean a woman values a man only for his material resources. Instead, it's about the broader concept of value, which includes emotional maturity, reliability, and the ability to lead and provide security. These are qualities that, historically and evolutionarily, have been crucial for the survival and success of human offspring. For men, understanding hypergamy is not about fostering resentment or feeling inadequate. Thus, hypergamy should not be seen as a barrier, but as a call to action for self-improvement and personal development. It encourages men to strive for their best, not just in the context of attracting partners, but in all areas of life. Remember, the aim is not to overpower or outshine your partner, but to be a compelling and reliable partner yourself. Before we dive into the next lesson, make sure you've liked and subscribed to our channel, so YouTube's algorithm can recommend this video to a wider audience. Thank you. Number 4. Nice guys finish last. Nice guys finish last. This adage resonates painfully in the ears of many men who've experienced the sting of romantic rejection, despite their well-meaning intentions. But let's unpack this. Why does this phenomenon seem so persistent in the dating world? It's not just about the simplicity of being too nice, but rather the dynamics and perceptions that often come with it. The stereotype of the nice guy often paints a picture of a man who is passive-aggressive, using his niceness as a smokescreen for manipulative tactics. He's the guy who believes if he's good enough, if he's accommodating enough, he'll eventually win the girl. However, this strategy can backfire spectacularly. Women, equipped with a keen sense for authenticity, can usually tell when kindness is used as a cloak for hidden agendas. The nice guy's veneer of pleasantry, intended to manipulate outcomes subtly, often earns him a one-way ticket to the friend zone. Contrast this with the so-called bad boy, who often radiates assertiveness and authenticity. This guy lays his cards on the table. What you see is what you get. He's unapologetic about his desires and boundaries, which in a twist of irony makes him more appealing. His assertiveness and dominance aren't about disrespect, but about a transparent projection of his identity and intentions. He's the embodiment of the saying, "Real recognizes real." And in the dating realm, this realness can be a major draw. The crux of the issue for nice guys isn't their kindness per se, but how it's perceived and utilized. Kindness should not be a strategy, but a genuine part of one's character. When kindness comes with strings attached, expectations of reciprocation, romance, or sex, it loses its purity. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once remarked, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." The key here is the absence of expectations. In the modern dating scene, men who find themselves consistently sidelined despite their niceness might need to reflect on how they present their kindness. Are they truly being kind, or are they performing kindness with the hope of a specific reward? True kindness does not calculate returns. It exists freely, generously, and without an agenda. Be kind because it's right, not because you think it will get you somewhere. In doing so, you embody the best of both worlds, the genuine kindness of the nice guy and the authentic clarity of the bad boy. This blend, this realness, is attractive, and it's what can ultimately lead you to meaningful connections where you neither finish last nor compromise your integrity. Number 5. She wants you to be a mind reader. Ever found yourself playing the role of an amateur psychic in your relationship, guessing what she's thinking or feeling? Sure, we're not in the Marvel universe, but sometimes it seems like being a mind reader is part of the relationship package, doesn't it? It often goes like this. She drops subtle hints that she's upset. You, on the other hand, are scrolling through your mental database, trying to crack the code. Dinner passes in silence, and when you finally ask, "Is something wrong?" she responds with the classic, "I'm fine." But we all know, "I'm fine" can sometimes be the emotional equivalent of a small kitchen fire. Handle with care, or everything might go up in flames. Now let's pivot from the humorous to the practical. Expecting your partner to know what's wrong without communication isn't just unfair, it's like setting them up to fail. This isn't Hogwarts, and we weren't all born with the gift of legitimacy. Instead of playing guessing games, encourage an environment where open and honest communication is the norm. Say something like, "I might not have a crystal ball, but I'm here, ready to listen. What's on your mind?" It's about making it clear that your relationship is a no mind reading zone, but a full-on, open communication zone. Every word she says carries hidden meanings. You might find it frustrating that when she says, "I don't need it," you still have to do it. Or when she says, "It's fine," there is definitely something wrong. In reality, she doesn't expect you to understand her perfectly. She just wants you to sense what she needs and persistently care for her until the end. Think about it this way. Effective communication in a relationship is like having a good Wi-Fi connection. Without it, you're just buffering, getting nowhere fast, missing all the important bits. So, why not upgrade your relationship's communication plan? It's less about being a mind reader and more about being an attentive listener. Remember, while you can't read her mind, you can definitely read the situation. Stay tuned to her needs, ask the right questions, and keep the lines of dialogue open. So, ditch the crystal ball and pick up the communication toolkit. It's your best bet for understanding what's really going on in her head. And who knows, with enough practice, you might just become the next best thing to a mind reader, no superpowers needed. Number 6. She wants a winner. Let's tackle a truth that's as old as time yet often glossed over. Everyone loves a winner. It's not just a preference, it's wired into our very psyche. And yes, it significantly influences romantic relationships. Now, while the concept of a winner might evoke images of a trophy-laden champion, in the realm of relationships, it's about more than just accolades and external success. Good morals and character are essential, non-negotiable even. They're like the foundation of a house, vital for long-term stability. But on their own, they might not spark attraction or command respect in the competitive arena of life and love. It's a harsh reality, but true. Just being a good person isn't always enough to capture interest or ignite passion. Here's where it gets interesting. Women, and let's be honest, most people, are naturally drawn to those who aspire, achieve, and conquer. Why? Because success and ambition often translate to security and excitement, two key ingredients in the chemistry of attraction. It's not about winning for the sake of winning. It's about what winning signifies: determination, resilience, and the capacity to thrive in life's arena. This doesn't mean that every man needs to be a CEO or a world champion. Being a winner is about mindset and effort. It's about getting back up when life knocks you down. It's about striving to improve, whether in your career, your personal life, or your passions. It's about not settling for mediocrity when excellence is within reach. So, if you're feeling like the perpetual nice guy finishing last, ask yourself this: are you really pushing your limits? Are you pursuing excellence in your own life? Or are you coasting, hoping that being good is good enough? Women respect and desire men who chase not just dreams but tangible goals and achievements. They want someone who inspires them, someone who brings excitement and stability into their lives through his actions. Your character is your rock, but your drive is your rocket. You need both to launch into the stratosphere of personal and romantic success. Start by setting a goal, something you've pushed to the back burner, and tackle it with everything you've got. Let your actions speak as loudly as your values. Show the world and all the potential partners in it that you're not just a man of good character, but a man of dynamic action, a true winner. The journey from being a good man to a winning man isn't about changing who you are, but revealing the best version of yourself. It's about showing that you can take life's punches and swing back, not with arrogance, but with determination and grace. Remember, in the grand tournament of life, don't just compete. Compete to win. Number 7. She needs security. In a world where women are more financially independent than ever, you'd think the old adages about security would buckle under the weight of modern equality. Yet, the need for security in a relationship remains as steadfast as a lighthouse in stormy seas. It's not just about the money, it's about the mooring, a sense of safety that anchors a relationship. Even if a woman out-earns her partner, she still yearns for a tapestry of security woven from emotional, physical, and yes, financial threads. Think of it as a three-legged stool. Remove one leg, and the stability wavers. This isn't a tale of damsels in distress. It's about partners in defense against life's unpredictability. Imagine this. She's had a day that could make Monday weep. Who does she need by her side? A rock. Not literally, of course, but someone whose emotional fortitude can withstand the torrent of her stresses without eroding under pressure. Be that rock. When her world is spinning, be the gravity that pulls her back to earth with a calm presence and a steady hand. Now, let's talk stoicism. No, not the stiff upper lip kind, but the Marcus Aurelius, remain unshaken amidst the crash of worlds kind. Even in the 21st century, amidst all the talks of equality and partnership, the visceral need for a reliable anchor in a partner persists. It's less about gender roles and more about human roles. Each partner craves a sense of security from the other, though perhaps in different flavors. So, gents, if your girl is the breadwinner, don't think your part on the security front is redundant. Your role isn't downsized, it's diversified. Emotional security? Check. Physical reassurance? Check. Financial wisdom? Double check. It's not about holding the keys to the safe. It's about unlocking a deeper level of trust and reliability in the relationship. Being her steadfast pillar, her unwavering guardian against the gales of life. That's the real equity you bring to the table. So, step up, be the rock, and watch your relationship's security compound. Interest guaranteed. Number 8. Most women lack empathy. Is it just me, or have you noticed how empathy sometimes seems like a one-way street in relationships? There's a pervasive myth that men are the stoic ones, impervious to emotional pain, which can lead to a troubling empathy gap between genders. This isn't just an anecdotal observation, it's a complex issue rooted in cultural norms and socialization. Let's dive a bit deeper. Society often drums into men the mantra of man up, promoting the idea that showing emotions is a sign of weakness. This expectation doesn't just affect men, it impacts how women perceive men's emotions too. When a man does express vulnerability, he might not only struggle with his own internalized stigma, but also face a lack of empathy from women who have unconsciously absorbed the same societal messages. They might see emotional expressions in men as unattractive or a sign of weakness. Now, this isn't to say that most women inherently lack empathy. Rather, it's to highlight how societal conditioning can warp our understanding and expression of empathy. It's a learned blindness that can be unlearned. Women, just like men, are fully capable of deep empathy, but the social scripts they've been handed may need some revising. Here's where the conversation gets real. Breaking down these barriers starts with acknowledging that men are indeed still only human, with a full spectrum of emotions. It involves women and men working together to foster a culture where emotional openness is not just accepted but encouraged. So, how do we bridge this empathy gap? It starts with dialogue, open and honest conversations about emotional needs and expectations. It requires us to challenge the old narratives about masculinity and vulnerability. Men sharing their emotional experiences without the fear of judgment can be powerful. For women, it's about actively listening and validating these expressions of vulnerability, not as signs of weakness, but as acts of courage and authenticity. To all the men out there, your emotions are valid and need no justification. And to the women, your capacity for empathy can be a transformative force in a man's life. Let's redefine strength, not as the absence of vulnerability, but as the courage to be real in the face of societal expectations. Together, we can turn empathy into a true superpower, not just in romantic relationships, but in all human connections. After all, isn't the real strength of a relationship measured by how well we can share and understand each other's deepest fears and highest hopes? Let's make empathy the norm, not the exception. Number 9. She hates being disrespected. Respect is a cornerstone of any healthy relationship, and no one appreciates being on the receiving end of disrespect. Women are no exception. However, the dynamics of disrespect can often become complicated and, if not managed correctly, can lead to recurring patterns of negative behavior in a relationship. Understanding these dynamics is crucial not only for maintaining dignity, but also for fostering a respectful and loving relationship. The idea that women will disrespect you if you let them stems from a broader discussion about boundaries in relationships. Disrespect, whether in the form of verbal insults or more severe behaviors like physical altercations, often escalates from smaller unchecked incidents. If minor acts of disrespect are not addressed, it sets a precedent that such behavior is acceptable, leading potentially to more frequent and severe occurrences. If he shrugs it off without addressing the issue, his partner might interpret his silence as acceptance or indifference. Over time, this can escalate into more intense forms of disrespect, and in extreme cases, even physical aggression. It's important to note that physical violence is never acceptable, regardless of the preceding interactions. So, why do we let disrespect slide? Often, it's the desire to avoid conflict or the hope that it's just a one-time thing. But here's the kicker. When minor acts of disrespect are ignored, they can morph into major ones. It's like setting a precedent that says it's okay to treat me this way. Handling disrespect effectively involves addressing the issue directly and calmly. If disrespected, one might say, "I feel disrespected when you raise your voice at me, and I need us to communicate without yelling." This approach not only addresses the behavior, but also models the respect and communication style you expect in return. It's crucial, however, that such discussions occur at a time when both partners are calm and more receptive to a constructive conversation. Just as you wouldn't let others disrespect you without consequence, the same should apply in your romantic relationships. Remember, a slap should never be a wake-up call. The real alarm is sounded through respectful communication and the courage to uphold one's dignity in all interactions. So next time you sense a hint of disrespect, don't let it slide. Address it calmly, clearly, and constructively. Your future self and your relationship will thank you for it. Number 10. If she likes you. Here's a straightforward, perhaps uncomfortable truth that many find hard to swallow. If she likes you, she will make it clear. She will want to see you, talk to you, and respond to your messages. It's really that simple. This clarity often stings because it forces us to confront the reality that sometimes the interest we hope for just isn't there. Let's dive into this with an example that might hit close to home. Imagine you've met someone you really like. You send texts, make calls, and suggest plans. But the responses are sporadic, the conversations one-sided, and the plans always postponed. You might start wondering, is she just busy, or is she not that into me? Here's where the harsh truth comes in. More often than not, if someone is genuinely interested, they'll find a way to connect, no matter how busy they are. This isn't about playing detective or reading between the lines of every text and gesture. It's about recognizing the straightforward signals of interest, or the lack thereof. If you find yourself constantly guessing and second-guessing her feelings based on minimal or mixed responses, it might be time to accept that the interest you're looking for just isn't there. Now, I understand this can be particularly challenging for those who struggle with social cues, including some men on the autism spectrum. If that's you, remember, you're not alone, and navigating these signals is a skill that can be learned with practice and guidance. For anyone finding these social nuances tricky, consider diving into resources that can offer more explicit guidance on reading and interpreting signals of interest. But let's broaden the lens a bit. This advice isn't just for romantic relationships, it's a life skill. Whether it's friends, colleagues, or potential romantic partners, understanding and accepting people's level of interest and engagement can save you not just time but also emotional energy. So if you're ever in doubt, keep this mantra handy. Actions speak louder than words. If she's into you, her actions will shout it from the rooftops. No reply to your texts. Silence might just be the answer you're looking for. Ghosted after a great date? Maybe it wasn't as great on the other side of the table. Alright folks, that wraps up our exploration of the 10 bitter facts about women that men often learn too late. Understanding these truths isn't just about navigating relationships more effectively. It's about fostering respect and deeper connections by seeing beyond societal stereotypes and expectations. Remember, knowing these facts isn't about fostering negativity, but about preparing yourself to engage more meaningfully with the women in your life. If this video struck a chord with you, or if you've experienced any of these lessons firsthand, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to share this video with friends who might benefit from these insights. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more content that dives deep into understanding complex relationship dynamics. Thanks for watching, and remember, true wisdom comes from continually learning and adapting. See you in the next video.